Hello, welcome to Star Wars Spelt Out. I'm your host, Josh Chapman. And today we're talking Arc 3. Sorry,
Massacre,
thank you, Cathe.
Massacre.
Oh, it was a pure massacre, as they say, as Silverchair once said 30 years ago. Of Andor, Season 2, Arc 3. It's... What I mean, let's just get who's in the room here before we go any further. We've got a full deck. Who would want to miss this? We've got Catherine Kneen. Hello, Catherine.
Stone and Sky.
We've got Matthew Mole. Hello, Matt Mole.
For the gore. We are the gore.
And we've got Turbo. Hello, Turbo.
What? Won't no one think of the cakes?
Cakewatch. Should we jump before we get heavy? Should we keep it light? Cakewatch. Where was Cakewatch? I didn't. Nothing.
I didn't
jumped
see
out.
one cake. Did you?
I didn't see a single cake, and I think it's a sign of the times of the downward spiral of what's happening on Gorman. I think there might have been some cake smashes with a fight between.
No one took
Cassian
no
and
one got
Cyril.
a pie to the face. You saw it like Cassian could have reached. You know, he was reaching for something. He could have just grabbed a cake and just smushed it in Cyril's face.
Well, no. So if we're going to get onto that, I think he picked up a glass like container full of cereal. I think he smashed him over the head with cereal.
He said, "Take your cereal, bitch," and then it was just
Anyway,
I mean, yeah, we'll try to get some structure. There's obviously a lot to talk about. We'll see how we go. But our regular running time enthusiast, Matt Mole, what do we got here, mate?
I think it was like 57, 49, and then back to 57 or something.
Get that mic in front of your mouth, mate.
It was some good.
There it is.
I think you'll find. Well, I think the third episode 9, was like an hour, right on an hour.
Really?
In terms of, yeah.
Well, we did it.
But 7 minutes of credits though, so
yeah.
We did the whole whack in one evening. So Kat has been watching it as well, but she's been doing it in the evenings. And you know, in the previous arcs, we've got through 1 or 2 episodes in a night and finished it off later in the week. And Lee's like, "No, I have to watch all of this. I can't not watch this. I need to know what happens." And
compulsion.
She doesn't know. Like, she doesn't. You know, we obviously went into this knowing about the Gorman massacre, that there was this thing she didn't know. She was watching, going like, "Oh, a protest. That's interesting." Oh no! Oh no! 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 And it was. Yeah. So episode titles, Catherine. What do we have? The Messenger.
Oh, The Messenger. I don't know you, or who are you? What was it? It was Cassian's. I don't know who you are. And then
something like that.
Who are you? I think it was.
Who are you? And then you've put me on the spot because I.
And then welcome to the rebellion.
Yeah, welcome to the rebellion. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. I thought it was I Have Friends Everywhere. Yeah. That was a previous one, wasn't it? We've just lost Mole for some reason. I don't know where he's gone. But whatever.
He's going to look up Disney Plus to get the titles and run time.
He's just disappeared. So whatever. We'll forge on with that, and we don't need him. He'll either come back or he won't. So yeah, some pretty interesting stuff. We'll try to do it. Here he is. He's back.
It might just cut out for a sec.
Yeah, your microphone's on some weird thing too. We're just gonna. This is all just gonna be. This is just live right now. But check your mic source.
Yeah. No edits.
No edits. How can we edit? If you can sit through 3 hours of Andor, you can sit through a little bit of technical difficulties. I know. Sit through is not a very fair thing. But I mean, look, let's be fair here. Hello, Matthew Mole. Hello.
Now it's all good.
Yeah, all right, he's back, baby. That's how we roll. Here. We just went through the episode titles, mate. You didn't miss too much. But
I saw Catherine studying over the titles. Yes.
No, she got there. I mean, let's just. The first 2 arcs of this was great. Andor is great. We know Andor is great. The first 2 arcs have been great. I don't know about you guys. I don't think it had hit that one way out height as yet. We were kind of waiting for it to hit that height. I feel like we've surpassed that height. I don't know how this could be topped. Where does Star Wars go from here? As they said on that, where does football go from here? Where does Star Wars go from here, Catherine? Have we peaked? Have we peaked?
Gilroy, this is his magnum opus. Like, it is saying so much. Like, he said so much in the first season, but this season he's just like, fuck it, and just putting everything, saying so much about the truths of the world we live in today and our history. It's utterly amazing what you can put into a Star Wars, a sci-fi fantasy show to illustrate, the real world and things that we have to understand and grapple with. And it is just astonishing. And, that's just from the themes. Then you think about the staging of it. Like, it's just astonishing. And he's always talked about that there's calendar dates. He's known about the Gorman massacre for a long time, because before the first season of Andor came out, I think a long while ago, someone tried to trip him up about the Gormans, and he was all over it. He was like, nah, know all about it.
I saw someone online going, oh, wow, it looks like he really must have, spoken to Dave Filoni and got his. I'm like, we don't need to bring Filoni into this. It's
no.
the
Pablo.
Yeah,
It's Pablo.
It's using. I mean, Mole, you dig a little deeper than most on this. Like, were you impressed of the weaving into the established Star Wars stuff?
It's phenomenal. It's like, you need to watch the Mon Mothma episode in Rebels, season 3, episode 19 or 18. I think it's called Secret Supply, and it's literally 5 minutes after this episode ends, because they're not going to show it in the thing, and it just gives it a whole new thing, and it's so exciting for what they're saying about when you watch Rogue One after you see the final arc next week. It's just going to hit a whole different way. And I know this is going to upset you a little bit, Catherine, but I mean, and I'm with you now, because you were here ages ago. Like, I would love to see this this last 4 years over 4 seasons. Like, the 3 seasons, it's been great, but how good this is. We were supposed to get 5 seasons of Andor, and I want it back. Take your time. Do it week by week, spread it out over 5 years. Like, it's just so good. And like, it's I don't think give me anxiety, but I mean, in next week it's over, and it's been so quick, but it's been so good. It's like, I don't even feel like I'm watching Star Wars sometimes. I'm watching high quality peak TV. What kind of pizza is this? Turbo?
The thing about this is that you kind of expect there's a rhythm to Andor, as like 1, 2, and 3 of the arc builds up to something. But this one, the middle episode, I think, number 8, kind of was absolute peak kind of paranoia, like just. It was, and then you had another episode on top of that, like episode 9.
I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they didn't. Because we spent a lot of the time on Gorman the week before the previous arc. And I'm glad that they got there and we had time for the repercussions in that arc. You know what I mean? Like, it could have been like, I've had a couple of people come up to me at work and who were watching it, and they've just gone, oh, like, wasn't that an amazing end? And I've gone, oh, it's not over. There's like another 3 episodes next week. They go, oh, really? Like, where do you go from here? I'm like, well, it's very true. Like, it could almost be, and it almost could have been an ending that, where it ends, where Cassian gets K2, Bix is gone. He's kind of, you're in this thing. Like, you could end it there conceivably. You could have. Maybe.
Nah, there's more pain to come.
True, but you're right. They're like, we got 1 year left after this. Well, give or take, and then we got to ramp up to the opening scene of Rogue One. Apparently,
Yep.
I've been wondering about that, because the next arc is 1 BBY. So that's a year before the Battle of Yavin, and they've always said, okay, this is going to end basically with Cassian getting on the shuttle to the Ring of Catherine, but that's not 1 BBY, that's 0 BBY.
Is it just
Or am I
easier
just
to?
It would
being
take
a
a couple
bit
of
too
weeks or
wis-
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, he
it's
did
good.
say
Am I
each arc
just-
took
what-
3 days, didn't he? So who knows? Maybe it's a bit of
Yeah.
a poetic license.
Yeah, what is the time? What is the time between handing over the Death Star plans to the
Well,
Battle
I
of
think there's a
Yavin?
meeting between
Like,
Thrawn
How long
and
does Star?
Krennic
Well, how long
and
does Star
Moff
Wars take?
Tarkin.
3 days? Is it? Does it take
Something
place
like-
over 2 or 3 days?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's say a week. you
Let's
know.
leave it to the train spotters, the Star Wars train spotters. I'm sure someone will know. I'm sure Alex will have a video over it soon too.
But just getting back to Mole's point about this being spread out. Yes. I know, me wanting 5 seasons. And before, like all the arcs, I've been like, I wish, we knew more about what had happened between. But honestly, between this arc and arc 2, a lot went on. They're on Yavin now. They've broken away from Luthen. Vel's stuff's gone down with Vel now. She's on Yavin. Bix and Cassian have sort of settled down. I really would love to know more about what happened.
But you get everything you need as well, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You get everything you need.
But I know what you mean. Like you could have got all those bits in between, but the device that they've used has given you enough to know where they're at the certain. Well, we do go back to Yavin. I'm not going to do blow by blow, but there is interesting stuff that happens on Yavin. For one, they're living in bloody tree houses. I never thought you just live in. I just never assumed everybody was in the temple. But
in the big temple,
I guess it's
they're probably still cleaning it out
or something.
They're getting Exar Kun out of there or whatever. Is that who it is? Wasn't that the EU?
Oh, Exar Kun, is that Shadows of the Empire? No,
that was the Jedi Academy series because that was where Luke did the training there, and there was like the evil. I think it was. I don't know. Mole, you must know this. Back me up on this.
No, I'm not an
Exar
Exar
Kun
Kun person.
I remember that name, and I
thing.
remember Kip Durran. They're the only 2 people I remember from that.
Kip, yep.
And he got corrupted. And then there was the Sun Crusher, and then there was the oh god, it's all coming back. Maybe they should have made those movies. Bugger Andor.
You're right, though,
You're right. You skimped.
But it kind of felt like a bit like hanging out in like maybe Kashyyyk, a bit of like Andor. Just what is it? They're all hanging out in the Yavin cabin.
It was
Yavin cabin, I would call it.
Cabin. It was wild that there were so many, and it does come up in the thing that this is such a secretive base and nobody knows where it is, and there was just like all these people everywhere, and people were coming and going and getting on ships and coming and going, and they were openly talking about Yavin, like in the Senate, like. Benjamin Bratt and Mon Mothma are just sort of talking about Yavin places. I'm like, for a super secretive base, no Dantooine either. They've moved on from Dantooine.
Well, no, they're going to evacuate from Dantooine next week, I reckon.
You reckon?
Yavin is not the main base.
Ooh, could be. I like that. But so Bix and Cassian got a nice little setup going on there, and we get something which I never thought we'd get in Andor. We get the Force. We almost get the Force theme. They hinted it a little bit.
It was half.
It was almost there.
Yeah.
For the Force
healer. I mean, it's not Jedi, but it's like Force
something.
Force healing, Force vibes.
It was,
Force...
So can Bix feel the Force, Catherine?
No, it wasn't. No.
She said she had dreams about, like she felt the connection. She was having dreams about Cassian, and it almost felt connected to the thing that the lady felt when she was touching him, that he had a greater purpose. And
I think that was more like a Reiki healer more than a Force-sensitive massagist.
But she fixed him up, though.
Yeah, she fixed him up. So I think it's not.
I'm not talking Ray levels of competence here, but she had enough juice in it. And she said that it doesn't always work, but she was like,
it's almost like the kind of Church of the Force sort of theme with Rogue One, where they have some sort of connection, but they don't know what it is. Let's not call it a Jedi. Like it just.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's
Guardians. The Guardians of the Wills, almost, who have a sort of connection to the Force, but can't wield it in any way.
Yeah, like an awareness, or But I feel like that it was implying that Bix kind of had that sort of awareness as well. But maybe I'm wrong. But it seemed like that was.
Yeah, she did have some insight into. Maybe she was just understanding the Force healer in terms of what she was talking about.
When she gets that,
Cassian being the messenger, and
I know, but when she,
sort of
he gets back, and then obviously at the very end she decides to leave because she doesn't want to interfere with his purpose where he needs to be. Like she kind of almost feels like I've got to spoken to. I've had clarity. I've got a and I hope. I hope. I mean, I want to see more of Bix and know where she ends up. But if she's not in the next 3 episodes, really, and that means that she's not dead, I'm kind of glad, because it was always like, well, obviously she has to die for Cassian to be him, but maybe
she doesn't have to die.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, she doesn't have to die. She could.
No, it's a good point. She doesn't have to die.
Do her own thing and be somewhere.
Find out that.
Also, can I just be me for a minute and go, well, there's something between Cassian and Jin in Rogue One, and if Bix was still alive, there wouldn't be that there. Like, Cassian wouldn't act like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm retconning things, but that's just my take
just
on
trying
it.
to
But it's more now because
out of the equation.
if she's
you, Catherine.
At least if she's gone now, that's a year until he meets Jin, as opposed to she dies 3 days before he meets Jin, and she's already kind of checking out some lady who shows up on a mission. Like, it would actually make more sense that he can open his heart a little bit after, his love is gone and he doesn't know if he'll see her again.
Actually with Jin Erso? I thought there was just...
Well, who knows? We might look at it different through a different lens now. Like, at the time, you go, well, it looks like they found each other at the end through this mission, but...
I thought they just hugged because they're about to die.
Yeah, but I guess it's the subtext.
Look, the camera may have cut away, but they kissed in that turbo lift.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? This is where with the new interpretation. This is where the new interpretation will come from. This is the
yeah. There was something there.
Throw out your shipping. You might have to rewrite your fan fiction. Everybody.
Just a horn dog. Remember, he wanted Cinta.
Well, also, shirtless. We didn't talk about shirtless Cassian again at the start, Catherine. We got another shirtless Cassian.
And what Riz does Wilmon have? He's just banging everyone.
He's the man. I'm glad he didn't.
He's the Mon.
Ride on, powered girth.
Well, I'm glad that he didn't. He looked like he was off the. He wasn't actually just huff and paint this arc, which I was worried that he'd just turn up and he was just huff and paint.
You go back to the gap, like a year gap. Like, what? I just assumed that Wilmon would be with Saw Gerrera in his gang.
Like he was just sort of back as
that's the other thing. We don't know what happened there. Like, did he just hang out with those guys for a bit and take off? Like,
Luther sent him there.
Yeah, like that. That year gap, we get, the militarization of a rebel cell, into a formal military. We know you get, what's his name, Draven, and all of these things. It's a far more formalized thing from Luthen sending people out on missions to know we're a natural military force now. Like, how did that happen over the year? Like, I want details because I'm me.
It's curious that he's just sort of...
those... I was going to say, what happened to those rebels? Like,
the dumbasses who got stuck there.
The dumbass
I thought that they would just be there somewhere and they'd just be like, don't know, in the mess hall or something. But they didn't. No note of them. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe next week. Maybe they're still there. They're out on a mission because we do see.
I got a bit emotional.
We do see.
I got a bit emotional walking around Yavin. Like, that was amazing, just
great,
seeing more of it.
I wonder if that's... I don't know enough about... Was that a set? I assume that it was just a set. I guess they had to build it again because I didn't know they had to...
It looked quite expansive, though. Like, it looks...
Everything looks expansive in this show, though.
There's no expense spared. But, yeah, I mean, we know that Melshi is back in the fold, and it took me a minute to realise why Val would recognize the gun, because it was the gun from the heist that Cassian took back with him and hid in the box, and then went back to the box and got the gun out of the box and gave it to Melshi when they escaped, and then so it was a bit of a few leaps.
Where did that gun actually originate from? Because it had a little symbol on it that I didn't quite recognize. It looked like an F for Ferrix.
Oh, Darnie.
It's from that job, but I don't know whether it was just from their box of random guns.
Like,
was it specifically somebody's blaster at a point? I don't know. Maybe it was what's his name's little wiener
Skeen.
guy. No, the little wiener guy with the manifesto.
Nemec.
Yeah,
Nemec's manifesto.
Because Nemec was on the ship, so maybe Cassian scooped up all the blasters from the ship. It could have been. We haven't had any mention of Nemec in his manifesto. I kind of thought that might be playing a through line at some point.
He got a good amount of screen or airtime in the Andor season 1 recap, though. Did you watch that before? It's about 15 minutes long, and it was good because I had to explain to my wife, this is what happened in Andor season 1. I said, actually, you know what? Just watch this.
Well, we watched a 3-minute one on YouTube, like a shorter one before we started because Cat had
The
forgotten.
other thing is the recaps are getting longer in between each episode now. I don't know if because I think they're like almost like 3 or 4 minutes between.
There's a lot of dense
7, 8,
stuff
and 9.
to go through, isn't there? Really. But essentially, yeah, it's sort of weird because the rebels are organizing, like you said, Catherine. But Cassian still kind of considers himself a privateer, as he calls it. Like he's in, but he's not in, and kind of wants to come and go as he pleases. No. So
he's in mercenary mode.
Yeah, so he's still doing jobs, effectively still working for Luthen for the most part.
He's a freelancer. Like he'll do a bit of both. He'll do what suits him, and definitely
like
when
you,
Luthen offered Deidre, it became I've got to do that.
Yeah, so that's kind of where the
became personal. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's how it all sort of kicks off. That they're dangling Deidre and saying that she's hanging around at Gorman. And she pops her head out and makes a stink face, for a few minutes every day. So here's a good chance to kind of pop her off. She was doing some glorious stink face acting at the start of this as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll talk about how amazing Denise Gough was in this in general, but we do go back to Gorman, and he's got another undercover. What was the undercover? He was as a journalist. What was the undercover name? Catherine, did you catch it?
Kuja.
Ooh. You need one of those shirts.
It was,
those like.
It was Ronnie Guja.
Those the shirts that have like John and Paul and Ringo, and you need one that says like Cassian and Clem and Vari and Sky and.
I'll buy that shirt.
Well, that's one for your Redbubble or T Public store.
I know. I've got another that and the slower, more intense T-shirt. I've got a week to do those before Andor's finished, and then it's too hard.
They won't arrive by the time that they're.
I know. If the show's going for 12 weeks like it was supposed to, I have a little bit more leeway. But
it's gone for 5 years. You can make a lot of shirts.
That's true.
They may be releasing it at the cinemas. That's the rumor. Is that they're editing into 4 films for the cinemas.
That's a lot. That's going to be one sore bum on the seat.
As long as it's not at the Astor.
No, not even one
that's
day.
A local
I'm just
Melbourne.
saying, like
Melbourne
every couple of weeks, release a film.
Yeah.
Nice.
So if it's at the Astor, bring a cushion.
Yeah, bring a cushion. A beautiful theatre with the world's most uncomfortable seats. So we go back to Gorman, and it's all sort of being clamped down more and more. They've sort of barricaded the square down. It's getting harder to move around, and the resistance is getting a little bit braver. But it seems like that there's the sowing the discontent there has got more and more. The local Imperial news propaganda machine's been going pretty hard at them, and
it's not getting harder to get around. It's actually getting easier because they're sort of packing up and going. You know what? We're not even going to pretend like we're got an armory here anymore, and you guys should be outraged and start fighting like they're.
Well, that was episode 8, but I think was it episode 7? They still had the barricades and everything.
Yeah, they had to wait. Yeah. They had to wait for the definitive call from Krennic that no, there is no replacement. They had to have this thing, so it was then a go for we're going to make this trap.
So they're basically almost kind of going, we're going to get as ready as we can, and then we'll either just leave or we'll go hard. And they fly in Mr. Poopy Face, leader of the Scarface. He's like, I wonder if he's a bad guy or not. I don't know. He's looking
with a whole heap of inexperienced.
Yeah, kids who'll do something dumb.
He looked familiar. I haven't looked him up, but the Scarface guy looked like an Australian actor.
He
looked very familiar.
Was there another Australian twinge? Do I need to go back and double check the?
I don't know.
He's got the. So effectively, Cassian goes back and he's like, right, I'm gonna stake the place out and look for Deidre. And I did like that the bellhop was working behind the desk at the hotel now. And we got rebellions are built on hope.
That was cool.
Yeah, after everything.
Star Wars reference.
It was really interesting when Cassian was checking in. That the bellhop obviously very much recognised. Okay, he's been here before. Yeah. You know the way, and sort of subtly giving him the warnings of, hey, they're checking everything.
Yep.
Just, be careful. And then, when Cassian was sort of like checking out, he was like, yeah, we never
logged you in.
I never
You were
logged
never
you.
here.
Yep.
We got you back,
Yep.
homie. Yeah.
And he also put him in the right room for like sort of the job that he was on as well. He was sort of aware that,
But he basically
one of
goes,
us.
he scopes there and he realizes there's troops above, and that's why he doesn't. Well, it's also because things escalate anyway. So he's sort of, he's like, oh, there's.
He couldn't actually go on the balcony at all because of
the troopers are
soldiers.
there. So I couldn't really do that, and that's sort of where the first. I mean, we should touch that. Obviously, Cyril is still there, and Deidre's living there now. Before she wasn't on site, but it doesn't seem like they're not cohabitating. It seems like they're leading reasonably separate lives still, and he's kind of just feeding her information. But does he? Because he goes. He chases down the daughter of the leader, the sort of the dark-haired girl. Was he a bit sweet on her? Do you think? Do you think he's sort of getting?
No, he was trying. He's actually fallen for the people. He's actually emotionally invested, and he was like, I can stop this if you sort of give me something to put an end to this, because he has no idea that
he's still
they're
looking for
playing both
outside
sides.
agitators, which basically if he's looking for rebels there, not the people.
He thinks he's on a secret mission to find the Gorman front and then put an end to it or something. So.
Well, it's not even that. He's on a secret mission to find. Like, it's not
The
even the
outside
Gorman, it's the
agitators.
outside people. Yeah, he's basically, they're implying that there are rebels there that are actually doing everything, and the front are just sort of just the locals that he's
well, I think he was
feeding
actually
info
asking
to.
her to give up her dad to sort of stop the. If I can give someone a value, then I can save the day and be Cyril the hero. Turn the lights out.
So the relationship's a bit weird because it is sort of it feels like a little bit poor professional, and then she plants that big smoochie on him though. Deidre does
Post strangle.
No, that's beforehand because he
No,
sort of
before
comes
that.
in to sort of because the escalation has begun. He's sort of trying to find out what's going on, and she's just like, get out of here, get rid of it.
We're going back to Coruscant. We're getting a big promotion. We've done very well.
You and me,
And
baby,
he's
we're out of
just
here.
like-
Good things are happening.
Yeah.
And he's just like, what the hell? What do you mean? Like, this is getting out of control.
Zone.
Yeah, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
What's
and
this all-
I think that he sort of cottons on to, hang on, we're doing something else. And it gets later on when he has realised this was a trap. Like, all the Gauls were herded into a trap. He really reacts violently.
Yeah, well, we move on to the second episode where basically the escalation just sort of kicks up a gear turbo. It just they what do they open the square up and mysteriously let the barricades down?
Yeah, they open the barricades, but then they actually put a trap around the outside, so they're actually trapping people in.
Yeah, they're sort of saying, "Hey, you can
So
come into the thing."
they're gathering people into the center, into the memorial and all that kind of stuff, and they're inviting people to kind of effectively protest, and then they're gathering all the protesters in that circle. Let's call it a square, but it's actually a circle. But it's they're just sitting ducks basically, and they don't realize it, which is a bit odd. Like, you'd think that they'd be a bit wary of, like, oh, they've all of a sudden opened the barracks, opened the barriers, and it's a bit odd.
What's his Rylands, the older man? I can't remember his name.
He sort of-
he
French
recognised.
Yeah, he cottons on. pretty
He
quick.
realizes it. He's like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Because
Can't
he
help me.
confronted Cyril. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess the locals
and
are
he
looking
was trying
for
to get people away.
Yeah, I mean they haven't been able to voice their displeasure, I suppose, before, and they're proud
that's the word,
people that So I think they've seen their chance to sort of gather and show their unity, and they sort of, like I said, they walked right into it.
And the Empire had landed mining equipment.
Yeah, they already
Which
knew it
got
was ready to go.
everyone's-
So
Yeah.
Yeah, they thought that was a rumor, but like it was obviously real. Like there was mining equipment landing and
it was
stuff
interesting
like
because
that.
they didn't. They could have obviously had done big shots of big ships coming down and doing all of that, but they really did keep it focused on that location where it was all hearsay, and they're kind of got some people are going, oh, that's just rubbish, and even Cyril finds out at some point. He's like, oh no, there's armadas up there in the sky and they're coming down. And
but even if, as Rylands was trying to understand why like the mining equipment's landing, like they still don't know what's.
Yeah, what do they want? Like, what are they here for?
What do they want? They still don't know that there's something in the ground that they want. Like, it's still all paranoia.
Yep.
They don't know anything about
nobody knows.
Calcite or calcite or whatever it is.
So it's something, whatever the last bit is they need for the... I mean, I guess we'll find out. Do we know anything about Gorman after this? Does the planet exist? Do they split the planet in half and it doesn't exist anymore?
Well, the planet will be, they said it once they take everything, the planet will be destroyed.
I know, but like in canon, is there any mention of Gorman post A New Hope? Is it even a planet that exists anymore? Or did the Empire get what they want and gut the planet and leave? Or did it get stopped because the Death Star blew up? And I don't know.
I don't know.
Because I assume that they needed some of it to do, to finish the Death Star, but they were probably on the assumption that they'll have the Death Star forever, so they got to keep mining this stuff for it. But maybe they only got as much as they needed.
Well,
now.
It'll be interesting to see how they got the Death Star laser number 2.
Oh, yeah,
where do they go for the calcite for that?
Because they built that one pretty quick, didn't they? Anyway.
Yeah.
But you also wonder if we're going to go back to Gorman at least a couple of scenes in the next episode to sort of see the destruction. Like we could see some absolute devastation.
I know where it ends. I know that it runs into Rogue One, and that's great, and it's going to be amazing. But like a post-Battle of Yavin Death Star blowing up reaction from the people who are left, or even post-Andor of like coming back to those people and seeing where they are, and that would just maybe that's for the Mon Mothma series, Turbo.
Or maybe we need another special edition with additional celebration scenes.
Yeah, I want to see Bix at an Ewok. I want to see Bix at an Ewok party, like dancing with an Ewok, and with a blaster in her hand, where she came in and joined the cause after she got word that Cassian had helped save the rebellion and do all of that. So, did you think that Cassian was going to kick off that riot by blasting at Dedra? I was a little worried there that he was going to get trigger happy and the whole thing was going to kick off. I'm glad that I'm not glad that it happened, but it was obviously staged. At least it wasn't his trigger.
In some ways, that's been speculated on for quite a while, and in some of the trailers and things, they had the little scene of Cassian raising his sniper at the window, and I think everyone was sort of speculating, is he going to start the Gorman massacre on like the Order of Luthen type of thing? It's interesting that they've played against our expectations in that way, that if he had, yes, it would have kicked off, but he didn't actually, but the Empire did it themselves. The Empire doing the old Palpatine of, we'll just play both sides and make sure we win.
Yeah, and I think it would have been harder to... I think Cassian is still a hero, and if he had kicked off the Gorman massacre and after we had to witness it, it would be hard to understand how he internally could come back from that as a character. It was hard enough that he was involved and he wants out at the end because of of how shocking it was. But I think if on the Order of Luthen, whether Luthen wanted him to do that or not in order to facilitate that, I think it might have been a bit of a stretch for the hero of Cassian Andor to live with that.
Yeah, I was going to say that the quote with Scarface, the Scarface dude said, I think he said to Deirdre Miro, he said, "I'm the trigger supervisor, you're the finger." Yeah. So Deirdre was going to be the one to make the call to pull the trigger. So there was the Imperial sniper or whatever to pull that.
But she's
trigger.
literally just, she literally gets the call from her boss as well. She's just the person. She's literally, if she had just said, "Actually, don't do it," someone would have just gone over her head. And I know that's hard for her to internalize. And all of that build up is, the tension and the singing and first it's the chanting and then it's the singing, and are we gonna get a singing anthem at Celebration? Or is everyone gonna learn the words by then, Catherine? Or is that too depressing? It's a good anthem. Hear that one at the World Cup. Like, if you heard that at the World Cup, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Anthem.
Yeah. I don't know.
I was going to say there was the Declassified episode afterwards, and I think they had the new composer on it. I think his name's Brandon Roberts, and I don't know about you guys, but we always turn the subwoofer up, so we have a subwoofer separate. And this, I think, episode 8 particular was just insane in terms of like low end, and the way he described the score was, he said he called these doom bends. So it was impending doom, and it was like this really deep groan sort of grinding kind of sound, and it was kind of like, yeah, if you turn it up next time, just have a listen. It's just impending.
It's like that.
It's impending doom,
that
basically.
That Joker noise in the Dark Knight, where it's just sort of,
that's right.
You know, it's just, it's there, and you know it's there, but it just makes everything feel very. And it was all. It was just a proverbial powder keg that was basically ready to kick off, and when it did, it sort of hits pretty hard. Their mold, and even there were some K2 droids hanging out.
There were 6 of them. They were ruthless.
Did you think the K2SO was the one that turned his, you know, when Cyril walks in and one sort of looks right at him? Do you reckon that was?
There's one that looks a little bit more inquisitively like
but it's still a Death Star.
The one in the middle. That one had that sort of K2 personality. I like that. It was good how that connected, and yeah, Gilroy's he's cooking.
And that guy, the stupid guy who got Cinta killed, you know, partially not redeemed himself, but at least he was out there fighting the fight and saved Cassian, and at the end, and he didn't quit.
Yeah, I mentioned that last week. He had to redeem himself, otherwise it would have, you know, he's talking down by Val would have been useless. But I think
he lost his girlfriend though. I think his girlfriend.
Charlie saved him. That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, it was just the tension and it all sort of just, it was as awful as you sort of imagined it would be, and just
the brutality, like seeing the KX droids
throw that lady
full power, just throwing barricades as well. I mean, like I think I've sort of went oof, you know, when he pushed like the barricades, because in that sense you kind of flash back to Nemec and the, you know, when the slamming into him,
the credits killed him.
The credits.
So sort of in between, I mean, while that's going on, like obviously Cyril gets to safety, he gets to go hide in the Imperial compound, and then confronts Deidre about of all of this, and it, you know, gets quite intense and, you know, violent and a little unsettling, and then he sort of pulls back and decides to go back in with the gore, and he's caught in the middle of the whole thing, and
but he's just I was just going to say he's in a daze, and like there's lasers flying around, and like
then he spots,
he obviously doesn't get hit,
then he spots Cassian, and it's the throwdown he'd been waiting his whole life for, that Cassian doesn't even know is coming. It's that
Thanos,
and it was that thing.
I don't even know.
Yeah, well, that was the weird thing, because I was kind of like, oh yeah, like he wouldn't. He's had no.
Did they met?
No idea.
Did they meet in the first? Did they meet on Ferrix though? Very briefly.
They did meet, but Cassian held a gun to the back of his head, so
he wouldn't.
That was the only time they had an interaction.
Yeah,
and so they literally had zero interactions.
Like a 30-second
interaction. A one-way.
Oh yeah, he's been
revenge,
non-stop thought for 3 years.
Yeah,
and Cassian's like, even after he's dead, like, who the fuck was
a
that?
one-way nemesis?
Yeah,
and it's just, he just goes at him. He just wails on him like, you are the reason that all of, not only is this happening, that, you know, I'm going to blame everything on you. And you get, you know, Cyril was obviously very, very upset, and he does have probably a bit of training, because he was in the police or whatever it was, so he knows how to swing a punch.
Mulana cops, yeah, sure.
But you get this sort of brutal fight, and Cassian sort of gets the top eventually, but there's a few explosions, and the gun falls loose, and at the last second, with the final insult, "Who are you?" Cyril gets gunned down.
Headshot.
Ryland.
Yeah.
Vigo. And
Vigo's dad.
And you sort of, I mean, Cyril, obviously a very flawed man, but did kind of
No,
get an
he was not
understanding.
redeemed.
No, I would say he's redeemed, but he got an understanding of how
Well,
he
he
was.
had the like, what have I done moment? Like, what have I? Because
I think in the
you could
square,
tell
I
he
think
What
he
have I
gets
been
an
a part
idea.
of?
Like
Yeah.
I've just helped facilitate this. I've just been played completely. To
Yeah, but
He
you could
had
imagine,
his
like,
"Are we the baddies?" moment.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yes.
Because you can imagine how many people in the Empire think they're doing the right thing, following the rules, doing their paperwork, doing their admin. Like, there's so many people in the Empire that are like, yeah, I'm the good guy, and then he realizes, no, you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also he's been played and betrayed by someone he cared about and yeah. So it's what a character, a complicated character that you wouldn't think you'd probably see in Star Wars. Really, that's a lot of the time the redemptions are pretty clear cut. If someone does bad, they redeem. Or they're just a bad person who cops it. And Cyril was a flawed character, but I mean, what a performance!
I mean, yeah, you compare, like, I always go to one of my favorite lines of Empire with, I don't even know his name, but he goes, "Good, our first catch of the day," and you think about like that villain
who's relishing
the villain Empire, where you don't really care about him and you don't know his backstory, but like you think of Cyril and his relationship with his mum and like relationship with Deirdre, and like he's got a life, and we never think about the Imperials or. Sorry. Oh, okay. There you go. Thank you, Matt. But yeah, no, it's just given a whole new sort of. We understand what their life,
and it's also you get that real understanding of the chain, like something's coming from the Palpatine, something is coming down through Krennic, then it's coming down through the next guy, then it's coming down through Deirdre, and it's just like, well, they're all just running down this chain of command,
just following the rules.
And yeah, and if like I said, if Deirdre had said, "Oh, actually, let's not pull that trigger," 2 seconds later, the call would have come through, and it would have been like, "Oh no, just do it anyway." But I mean, Denise Goff's when she goes into that room, that was just incredible. Like when she's trying to straighten her uniform, but her posture she's so broken over, she can't even stand straight. But she can't even stand straight. And like she's like, every time she tries, like she shows emotion, she gets pulled up to like sort of like keep it together, and she's trying to. It was just.
She's trying to loosen a collar, and
that was the thing. Also, they're talking. And that clip was in one of the trailers, and people were like, "Oh, is she being force choked?" It's like this is worse than being force choked. This is
just post actual choke.
But this is just like you're so like.
Well, no, she'd just been choked by Cyril, so she's sort of.
No, this is just like she can't breathe. She's just.
This is just anxiety.
Anxiety, yeah.
She's just got
because she was popping pills before. Like she was popping pills for her anxiety, I'm sure, in earlier episodes.
Because she, even though in some ways this was her idea, when the new Imperial people came, she was like, they look like children, and she was kind of sickened with the reality of, we are deliberately sending Imperial forces in there to be killed, absolutely, and we are going to let them die. It's not just, yes, we're going to kill all these civilians. We are killing our own side deliberately, and
to ultimately to send a message, not actually to take the planet. Like they can take the planet. Like they've already like if they want to take the planet, they'll take the planet. This was more about sending a message to the people to don't mess with us,
but also to the galaxy of also be okay with us taking the planet. Don't complain about it in the Senate. Don't protest it, anywhere else, because they were doing the wrong thing. So, we just took control after they did the wrong thing, like we are not doing anything wrong. We are just enforcing law and order.
Yeah. it
sounds very familiar.
I mean, the parallels. I mean, they're not subtle. The news networks and all of that stuff. It's kind of amazing.
Have Fox logos on their outfits.
If you had some weird thing of like saying Star Wars isn't political for whatever reason, you would say that. Even if you thought that before, you can't say that now because it is, and it always was. But it is, whether you like it or not, and whether you didn't like it before. Even if you could take some plausible deniability before because it was a little bit more subtle. This is like you confront it and accept it and learn from it because it's confronting and think about why it makes you. Why do you feel uncomfortable? If you just don't, it's like the stuff with Bix in the first thing. It's like think about why that makes you feel uncomfortable and have a think about it. But
It's interesting that this was one of the first big Empire wins we see in the course of the show. Like we see other wins along the way for the Empire, but this was a major win for the Empire because now they've got a free hand in Gorman. It's a major victory for them and it's one that they've been planning for a few years.
Yeah. But they also, I mean, it was interesting because they did say that, like, if we can find a way around it, we'd rather not have the hassle.
Yeah.
But if we can do it, we can get to a point where, you know, because they talk, I mean, look in A New Hope when they're talking about, like, it literally happens in A New Hope where they're just like, oh, I've just been informed that they're getting rid of the Senate. Senate's done. We're not having the Senate. We're not having the Senate anymore. It's basically just gone. So they're only a year out or 2 years out of dissolving that completely. Of going, we're not even going to pretend to have oversight anymore. We're just gonna do what we want. And it's amazing that they actually went for 20 years and had that. You know, how will you keep control without the bureaucracy? God, these lines are all coming to me so clear.
Regional governors.
Yeah, the regional governors will have direct over the whatever it is, not close. Fear. So
fear of this battle station.
So I mean, I just it could be the best episode of television ever made. I think it deserves all the plaudits, whether it gets awards or not. Whatever. Chasing Tin, I think. Great if it does. Amazing. What a woohoo! Well done.
Wonderful
you get to put it on your shelf and you get to put the font and the thing on the DVD cover and say award winning. But I don't think there's any question it's up there. If you think of the biggest and the best television episodes of anything you've ever seen, including this show, it stands side to side with it. Like I can't think of.
I can't fault it. Like there's nothing.
No, I can't.
It's up there with Face Off in Breaking Bad and ahead of Reigns of Castamere Game of Thrones at the moment.
Which one was Reigns of Castamere in Game of Thrones?
That was the Red Wedding.
Yeah, which also was an episode that had an extremely memorable last 5 minutes. But does anybody remember anything else about the rest of that episode?
Yes. Nope.
Except for you.
The thing is,
I don't want to poo-poo it. I don't want to poo-poo it.
It was a massive shock factor where, and book people knew it was coming, non-book people didn't. It was a massive shock point. But it is interesting that, of course, Star Wars big time nerds, we knew a Gorman massacre is coming, but non-Star Wars people didn't.
And they even played on a thing. If you knew a little bit about Star Wars and you knew of a Gorman massacre, they even just said that there was one. So you might have been like, well, they've already done that, so we don't need to worry about that anymore. But like I said, we watched it here, and Kat was just sort of like, oh, this is interesting that they're doing here, and it was just like, oh, no, and she was bawling by the end of it. She's a bit of a TV crier anyway, but she was bawling at the end of that episode.
I think she's actually watching it right now.
Obviously, she might come down and she's like, "You've got to come up and get me a blanket, please."
Yeah, I think so. Like we talk about how great this episode. We've only really talked about 7 and 8, but
I know
8 being the peak of this arc.
Yeah,
and then episode 9 is like, where did this come from? Like,
it was a lot better than Rise of Skywalker.
But yeah, I mean, let's get into it. We get the aftermath, and And even just the shock at the very start where they just arrest the Gorman senator. They're just like, you're out of here, mate. Like,
oh, they just don't care anymore. It's like, you know what? Democracy is over.
Yeah, we run this town.
We do it how we like.
You know, the opening Andor credits theme is different every week, but then in this theme, they have the Valley Highlands kind of theme in the background as well. So it kind of carries on from the massacre of the previous week. And yeah, it's just instant impact, basically.
And can I just say, Marva's speech, music, Mon Mothma's speech, just chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss.
I got the Rick's Road tingles again.
Well, we did show why we needed Bail Organa in this as well. It wasn't just a hey, welcome to the party. It was, and he was great. Benjamin Bratt he embodied the character. He put his own little spin on it, and what was it? Tear the shit out of this place, or whatever it was. We got another shit. I mean,
you know what? Shit is happening a lot in Star Wars now.
Shit is happening, but I'm all for it. I like. Is there a Wikipedia page for shit now? Does it exist?
It's all in Andor. It's only in Andor.
Doesn't matter.
I guess you could substitute it with poodoo, but I think shit sounds
if you
better.
just gone like tear the poodoo out of this place, it might have lost a little bit of
impact.
I think if Cassian had backed that ship into the thing and gone poodoo, I would have given a pass for that. That probably would have been, because it was a bit more. It was a bit funny, and it was funny because we saw the first episode of Andor at Celebration, and I remember, talking to people who'd seen the whole thing, like Molly and Alex and a couple of other people. They're just like, oh yeah, well, it does get a little grimmer on the thing, and you weren't lying, guys, if you're listening. But so essentially, Mon Mothma's like, I can't take this no more. I got to make a stand. I got to say something. I got to call this prick out in public, on the record, in Hansard. I'm assuming they have Hansard in the Galactic Senate. As someone who designed the website for Hansard for the UK Parliament at one stage, myself, toot my own horn. I don't think it's been long changed since the early 2000s since I did it. But,
maybe not.
Maybe not.
This is where our 3 viewers are gone.
I know they've gone to check the UK Parliament Hansard. So yeah,
and I think if you check Australian Hansard, halal snack packs are in there.
There's a lot of wacky stuff in Hansard. There you go. There's some quiet reading. Everybody go back and read Hansard. So
I think like a podcast with homework.
Yeah, that's right. Your Star Wars podcast, go read Hansard. So yeah, effectively she's going, I can't take this no more. I'm going to do a speech. I'm going to call them all out, and then I'm out of here. And Luthen,
but she's technically not allowed to give a speech, so Bale has to come up with this, section blah-de-blah version of the,
it was a bit Rimmer Space Corps directive, I thought. But
I think it said article.
I hadn't said the word emergency.
Because it was an emergency. Yeah.
Yeah, had to use the word emergency, and then because of that, he was able to.
There was a few pricks who kind of went on before going, our poor Imperial boys who just wanted to keep the peace all got,
we lost one person.
Yeah, we lost one guy, and
it's all the Gorman's fault.
Yeah, so, but effectively going on in the background is Luthen. I was gonna say, Clea with the long hair. Hello, I liked that.
Yeah,
it was a good look. I don't sort of, I keep it respectful, but I just thought she looked great.
Yeah, she hasn't had it long and out like that very often. In season 1, it was
in that hallway
a couple of times when she was going for meats or checking if things had been like written or something. So it's almost like her non-disguise. How Luthen has the wig for his shop dealer, and she has her hair in that updo
bunny
for her assistant, and then she has it down when she's her undercover self.
Yep.
And her style's a bit different also. Like she's more likely to have like pants and like a hooded jacket. Like, yeah, she's awesome. Like Clea's just unbelievable.
But even then, like when Cassian's talking to Clea, like Cassian's still, he's not all in. I think Claire was saying like, "Oh, you're always making excuses. You're too tired. It's too much. It's too hard." And like, she has to convince him. Like, so
She's a bit like,
find it
oh,
really
boo,
weird
what's
that-
the matter? Is it too hard? Is it, oh, boo, like, oh, I didn't. Like, yeah. I mean, granted, he went through some stuff, Cassian, but he's kind of, yeah.
I think he's sort of out in the Luthen way of doing things. He's a bit more in on the, the military. We have rules, we've got regulations, not Luthen. We're just going to let a massacre happen, or this is good for us. And
I think he likes the opt-in of the mercenary vibe. You're sort of allowed to choose when you're in, choose when you're out. Now you're part of a cause and everything,
Yeah.
So,
but he's also
everything that comes along with it.
But he doesn't want the
probably thinking of
responsibility of
Bix.
the one bit. He doesn't want the responsibility of being in the military, but he also doesn't want becoming a tool for Luthen. It's sort of neither of them are really appealing to him.
But he's not all in because he's always thinking about Bix. Like he's thinking about.
He's like, I've actually got
the
an alternative of a
and-
good thing that I can go to, and
And obviously, we'll talk about it later with Bix, like, making the decision she does. It kind of triggers Cassian to go all in, basically.
Yeah. So Luthen basically said, hey, you can do your speech, but Bail Organa's team's compromised, so don't go with them. We'll send our own man. And, I mean, what a cool concept that Cassian Andor is the one to get Mon Mothma out of Dodge as soon as she does the speech. And she calls a spade a spade. She wasn't afraid to use language that, a lot of people are afraid to use.
Even before that, I was going to say even before that, like she's obviously practicing a speech, but she also finds out that, what's his name? Erskine, her
I was working for
assistant,
Luthen, yeah.
is working for Luthen. So she's got that sort of paranoia of understanding that, he's on a different side as well. He's obviously trying to protect her, but the whole paranoia about she's trying to learn the speech, trying to figure out what to say, and it's
But they're also kind of in self-preservation, because they're kind of literally like, if they arrest her, she'll sing eventually. Like whatever she knows, she knows too much.
Yeah.
So they're giving her an excuse to arrest her. We'd love to be able to before, but she's a senator. Until she does something, she publicly stuffs up. We can't arrest her and interrogate her. But now we've got the chance to do it. But so Luthen is, I think, just as much going, we've got to cover our asses here because,
Yeah, and she does reference Tay as well. So, like, nothing's been really said about Tay Colmer, and she sort of says to Luthen that I think it was like how quickly you decided he was a risk and got rid of him. So she's obviously feeling for him, like her oldest friend, and just that whole paranoia she's feeling, and like all the pressure is building up on her, and.
Yeah. Well, in the scheme of all the things that have happened since, of all the people that have died, and all of all these other things of that we had to kill him. He decided that at that time that he had to go to protect everything. It's just like, well, look at all the stuff that's happened since, and you still killed my friend for that. Seems like a minor indiscretion in the scheme of the things that have happened since. But she gets out on that thing. She gets out on that platform, Catherine, and she lets her rip.
Yeah, she eventually, she gets to start talking, and the guy from the ISB, the bald guy, who isn't meant to be there at that time, it's actually meant to be Lonnie, I think.
Oh, right.
I think I saw someone. But he was
the one in
late.
surveillance. You mean the one doing the surveillance? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was hypothetically Lonnie's agent in Bale's team. So that's how Luthen knew that Bale's team was compromised.
Yes.
There's also the two people who who locked the media door as well.
Yeah, and they're just doing, we fixed this.
Yeah, we got told to close it.
And,
we got told to cose run the protocols.
And we took the key up to where it's meant to be. And it's like, that's a little act of rebellion, like the bellhop reception guy not logging Cassian in. These two, just doing their job, in a time, at a certain time.
I didn't think of Lonnie. That's a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a bit confused at first viewing with Lonnie's last name is Jung. Is it Jung?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Jung.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
It was a bit it was kind of funny that, when they're trying to pull the plug kind of thing. I keep thinking of movies where it's like, stop that band from, trying to stop that band from playing, and trying to pull
that thing down.
Yeah, pull that thing down.
Strictly ballroom.
Yeah, all those sort of just like,
Oh, yeah.
pulling
the plug.
Yeah, pull the rock music off kind of thing. But so she gives the speech, and then it's all.
And she says, I was going to say the line that got me was, the death of truth is the ultimate victory of evil. And you're like, yeah.
The abyss between
she's
what
right.
is said and
Marvel
what
style
is.
comment.
Yeah.
Do you think she could have done an F Palpatine mole? She could have dropped the F bomb.
They're
Or
not
fuck the
gonna say
Empire
that.
kind of thing.
Fight the Palpatine.
Not on the Senate floor.
Yeah, not going to get that in Hansard. It might get asterisked out. But so she gets out of there, and then Cassian is there to sort of escort her out of the building as quickly as they can, and the agent closes in, and it's all
As
very
he's got
tense.
friends everywhere.
Yep. She doesn't ask the question beforehand, but he does enough to sort of, win her over, and he gets to drive the limo at least.
Yeah.
Killing
and
Clovis.
And you we've been watching this for almost 2 seasons or 2 more seasons, and you don't realize that Mon and Cassian have never met. Like it's like this is the first meeting. It's like kind of pretty significant,
Do they share a
And you
scene?
see them-
They're in the control room at the start of Rogue One, aren't they?
Yes.
When Jin turns
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
She
But this is the first time they've
introduces
met, obviously.
Cassian.
up. Yeah, no, but it just means that they do it just means that when they get to that scene, you'll go, oh, yep.
There's a relationship.
There's a
yeah.
relationship where she's just like, this is Captain Cassian, whatever. I can't remember what it was exactly, but and then Mole, she gets to go to that dank safe house.
It's a bit like something out of Train Spotting kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not the most pleasant place, but and it's kind of funny. I quite like that because all of a sudden I was like, oh, like Clara's there, and they've got like a little gang, little hangout kind of thing, and then they basically say, oh, we're going to hand off to the rebels. We want to bring her in hot.
Get her to do another speech.
She wants another escort, or
Well, they're bringing her in via the military, rather than the intelligence, the spy part of the rebellion. They're bringing her in via like the military. Is
the
it
legitimate part of it?
Gold Squadron or Phoenix Squadron type of thing? That kind of legit military.
But is the rebellion or the Rebel Alliance? Well, I don't know how to use the word legit, but is it legit at the moment yet? Like,
is this what makes it
that's
legit?
what I don't
Isn't it?
quite
This is literally the
understand.
moment. Mole, have you watched the Rebels episode post or recently?
No, it's on my list of things to do, but I want to watch. I not rush watched it, but I watched it on laptop, and then now I'm going to watch it with my wife on TV on the big screen, and then I'll watch the Rebels. I mean, I know the Rebels episode, but like, yes,
Does she?
you have
Do
to
they?
do it.
Because they meet her in space, don't they? They don't. She don't pick her up from Coruscant.
So I'll spoil the episode
Do it,
because
'cause we've all seen
5
it.
years old.
Yeah.
So they get and that's the thing. On Yavin, we saw the Gold Squadron X-wings. You sort of see them with these very good, like everything sort of has a little place, and you sort of see little things. And so there's the Rebels guys and the Ghost, and then the Corellian Corvette arrives with Gold Squadron escorting, and then the secret supply person is Mon Mothma. She gives the big speech on Dantooine that they broadcast to the whole. I mean, she hasn't done enough big speeches, and that's where she sort of goes, right, I secede from the Empire, and the Rebel Alliance begins literally that day.
Yeah.
It's
And I
her
think-
speech that is sort of meant to bring all the disparate cells together.
That's right. It's an
But
alliance.
there was a growing of formalized military, if my memory is right, that Hera sort of becomes like Captain Hera in terms of like a Phoenix Squadron types of things, and the rebel crew are doing more sort of coordinated military-like things rather than, like a quick dirty raid type of thing.
They officially announced themselves as an organization.
Yeah.
So this
with
is
a
the
leader.
Welcome to the rebellion is when it starts. Basically, this is it.
Yeah.
Rebels was absolutely cooking then. Like that came. Then the next episode after that was Twin Sons with Obi, or 2 episodes later. Twin Sons, Kenobi, Maul. God,
I can't believe Darth Maul exists in this same universe. You don't even think we go like, oh yeah, Darth Maul exists in this universe. Like even
I know, bring him out.
Even
and
if
Thrawn,
that,
put him on the show.
That the Rebels crew would be somewhere in the background of this. Like I know that like Chopper was in Rogue One, but just the weirdness of like if Zeb had walked past in this, you'd be like, I know they've got CG, Zeb that they've used in whatever it was in The Mandalorian or whichever episode it was. I'm like, if he just walked on the screen at Andor, I feel like it would be such a disconnect of just like, oh my god.
But it somehow kind of works. Like I
guess they had like because they had like critters doing the Senate stuff, and they were so.
The other thing I always think of is like we look at all Mon Mothma's like all her dress, all her hair, all the things she's been wearing, and then all of a sudden she has to leave suddenly. And is this the point at which she just has one thing to wear, like those robes, those white robes?
Yeah,
and
that's just what she's got. You'd think she'd just wear some fatigues or something, really, just something more comfy. But
yeah, I think she's left everything behind. She doesn't get to go to a wardrobe or anything.
Chandrillin and flat.
Yeah, and then she's probably got no hair product or anything, so her hair is just like a nice kind of 70s kind of bowl haircut kind of.
And she doesn't change it for 3 years. Like that's the
That's
haircut
fine,
she
like,
had. In your
she's
Rogue One,
given
she's
up
got that haircut, and then like in Return of the Jedi, she's got the same haircut. It's like she hasn't even.
That's what I think is like she's in Andor. She's put up this kind of not a facade, but like she has to show that she's part of the Senate and well dressed and all these beautiful
standards that she feels like
costumes
she has.
and standards, and then she's like, "I'm done. I'm just gonna go.
I'm just a tomboy at heart.
I'm gonna go the moo-moo.
I'm just going for comfort. I'm just, I just want to, yeah.
I am interested in what happens to Perrin now because, like she didn't warn him that this was happening.
We're separated. We were estranged. Full custody. Literally.
Will we see him though?
I don't know. I feel like they just. I don't know. I feel like they just. Who knows?
They'll get some loose ends tied up quickly, I think.
Perrin will just keep having his parties. Like
he'll just got the flat to himself.
He'll be oblivious to
He'll be
it.
risky businessing now. He's like, oh, look, got the flat to myself. I'm dancing around in my underpants. I'm just having
his parties. Saying I
he
never
had the mistresses
trusted
around
her.
the house now. Before he had to.
No, I don't even think he tried.
Oh, no, I think he implied that he had a mistress at some stage. Remember, he was
he said, don't you have boyfriends, girlfriends?
Yeah. Like I think that was.
Oh,
and the kids do get a mention. We didn't bring it up last week. That they do mention that they'll go, oh, how are the children? There is a little mention of that, but so that all happens. Mon Mothma gets away. Cassian comes back to Yavin, and sort of catches up with Bix and says, "I'm out. I've had enough of this. We're going to find another. We're going to run again. We can always find another little place."
Gets dumped,
and she decides that he's too important. He's got to finish his purpose, and while she's there, he's going to be looking towards that life, and so she takes off. And it was
breaks his heart.
It was sad stuff. There was some tears again. Kat was having another little cry on the couch on that one as well, and it was all very sad.
How did you feel, Catherine, seeing Cassian single again?
Look, the week's been a lot for me, so I think I was in a bit of I wasn't open very emotionally. So can we just move on?
So,
sure.
But I mean, he gets his new best mate though. So his girlfriend leaves, but you get a new best mate to come up and I mean, they really tied that K2 droid down. After seeing what he was capable of, he was ready to. They wisely just made sure he wasn't going to kick someone's head in there.
Can I just say that definitely it's a better story of how Cassian and K2 met here in Andor than it was in that one-shot comic.
I have read the comic, but I don't remember what.
Nah, it's not memorable. They were always going to overwrite that and did a much better, more meaningful job. Yeah.
They don't tend to go retconning, some recent stuff.
But I guess
this comics are always a little bit more of a like it is till it's not. They always a little bit more leeway on the comics.
But I guess when we see them next in, what would it be, episode 10, they'll just be best of buddies. They'll be Rogue One, like
they would have already done a bunch of stuff together and hung out. Hopefully,
yeah.
He probably won't be quite as polite. He's quite polite at the moment.
I hope we get to see a Cassian and Melshi reunion. Because he's obviously there.
There's a shot in the trailer of Melshi firing a weapon or being fired on that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
Which does imply that he's in there somewhere.
Yeah. And even though he's not a massive character, you wouldn't bring Melshi back just for that, that blaster's mine. You'd have him back for a bit more because obviously he is one of the commandos in Rogue One. He's part of Rogue One, so you've got to show that as well. Like,
well, hopefully he's got his own little crew or something. Maybe him and Melshi and K2 have got a little gang.
Get Baz and Blaze, come on!
We're going to see mustached blue leader as well. We're going to see him or General Radis. Isn't Radis supposed to be in it? Like, wasn't Radis's in one of the making ofs or something?
Yeah,
or there was a mod.
Yeah, I think so.
There still seems to be a lot to be shown, but I'm trying to think. Do we see Saw Gerrera again? Like, do we see how Saw lost his limbs? Like, he's obviously not breathing well because he's been
huffing
paint. Huffing the paint. But like, he has to lose a few limbs, I think. And
I think I think whatever we get, it's gonna. We've, like Catherine said before, there is a lot of story that gets left on the table in these time jumps, but we always get in enough to know where they are at and what's happening. And if anything, it'll be the least. If it does end where it's supposed to end, that's the quickest time jump will be that we jump from the end of Andor straight into Rogue One. So we just get this movie that comes in, and then you can sit there and you can watch Star Wars straight afterwards, which happens right afterwards as well. So you can.
Well, we've got like 27 hours of content now if you go season 1 to Rebels and Andor. Sorry, and Rogue One.
I was going to say Rebels is a stretch if you're going to put.
You can do that one episode of Rebels and then
someone else.
I kind of think we need more Mendo. Like Mendo's been good in this, but we had a whole arc just now without Mendo. I think we need a final Mendo.
I don't need him being a arrogant jerk around some artwork. Let's get some Empire Mendo at his baddiness.
And this is probably just me, but seeing Tivik, the informant that Cassian's talking to at the start of Rogue One, I'd love to see him as part of Saw's group. Whether we do or not, I don't know. He's a very busy British actor.
Yeah. Well, he's the one who knows, who finds out about the Death Star. So
he's the one who's passed on the information about the pilot.
Yeah, and that the Death Star exists. So how does that work? Do we get Bodhi Rook in this as well? It'd be good to see Riz Ahmed back in Star Wars as well. So
I don't know if we see Bodhi, but I mean, if we can get the actor Tivik, would be amazing because I'm making this super dark, but having a long-standing relationship between him and Cassian of passing information, and then in Rogue One, Cassian shooting him. Mm-hmm. To save it. Like, I think that's really what we have. What I would see if I was Tony Gilroy, obviously having 5 seasons would make that easier, but also it's the availability of the actors. And this one, this might sound really weird, but in some ways you can't really recast him because it's not like he's got a name, like here we could say, Bail Organa, and everyone would go, okay, that's Bail Organa,
Yeah, I know what
blah,
you
blah,
mean.
blah.
Yeah.
But with him, not everyone knows his name.
Yeah. It's funny because he didn't, Tony Gilroy didn't actually write Rogue One. Like he fixed the ending of it and got it in good shape.
He wrote that bit.
Did he write that bit as well? Did he? Well, I'm not sure which bits where his hands are all over. So
yeah,
But wasn't Tony Gilroy mostly to do with the story? But he still had scriptwriters.
He had to fix a lot of the mess.
But no, in terms of Andor as well, like he's a showrunner, but also he's written the story.
Yeah.
But there's scriptwriters.
There's a lot of
for every
other Gilroys
episode.
you've got their fingers. I'm saying if he
There's
doesn't
Beau
want to,
Willimon as well.
Brian
there's
Gilroy,
so many
whatever.
talented people on this. If Tony Gilroy's had enough, I feel like the sum of the parts of the talent that are on this. If there was more to do, you could run with it. If you didn't necessarily need him, I know he's done a lot on this, but there seems to be so much talent around this thing that somebody could
Correct me
step
if I'm
up.
wrong. I think the writer for the One Way Out arc, or at least the episode, was Beau Willimon, and I think he also did these episodes. So the thing is, like,
he did the previous arc. Dan Gilroy did this one.
Yeah, I knew there was a
But
Gilroy.
here's the thing, like, even if Tony Gilroy wants to retire, that's fine. But the writers that are on this are just like brilliant. So just keep throw them some cash. Just do some, other.
Well, Beau Willimon he's tapped to write. Is it the movie that's set 20,000? A long
the
time
Mangold
in the past.
One. Yeah, I felt like one of them is
James
involved
Mangold,
in something else. Yeah. Good work, KK.
Just give him all the cash. Just do it.
All right, we could be here all night talking
Way
about
past
this.
the hour
We're
mark.
way past the hour, and we always were on this. We had to give it the time.
Looking past Josh's a lot of time.
My brother texted me last night, and he must have just finished watching, going like, "How are you gonna cover this? Fit all that into the podcast?" So hopefully, Cam, we didn't, but we've done the best we can. Everybody,
I think we did well.
We have to. I think we did very well. I mean, again, top tier. The show is soaring. It will be hard to top, but we come back next week and we see where we go. We're going to have a lot to talk about. I think we'll do what we normally do. We'll come back. We'll talk about the episodes. We'll do that, and then we'll come back in a week after and we'll wrap the whole season when we've got a bit more time.
Did we do a Skelly Crew wrap? I can't even remember now.
We did.
Oh, we did. Okay,
we absolutely did. Yep.
Was I there?
It'll be there, and we'll do that, and we'll go through the whole thing. But let's just revel in what we've got, which is just incredible stuff.
Watch it again.
11 out of 10. 11 out of 10. Spinal Tap. That's what it is.
What kind of pizza? What kind of pizza are you going to give it, Josh?
Pizza.
Turbo.
What kind of pizza?
This is a gourmet pizza, not.
Oh, this has got to have some truffle and
truffles and
it all depends on what you like
gorgonzola. It's a dense pizza.
That pizza we had when you stayed at my place was pretty good.
So
the one that had the spicy sausage on it and stuff. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I got a speeding ticket in your car. I hope you haven't got that yet.
I'll send you the bill along with your Jar Jar Pup. Thank you so much, guys. As always, a pleasure. Doing business with you. We'll be back next week. So thank everybody. See you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Let's tear the shit out of this place.
Bye.